everyone, this is Majubin Baloch from Pakistan and you're watching my YouTube channel Insani Ittihad, which aims to invoke a little bit of humanity in all of us through awareness and understanding. So since we are going in the direction of talking about controversial and taboo topics, so I would like to share this experience that I had at the MTC, that is Muslim Church Conference in 2016 in Berlin. So there was this session regarding stereotypes for stereotypes that Muslims have regarding Jews and Jews have about Muslims. So one of the very strangest stereotypes that I heard, and it was very absurd, and I was actually surprised hearing that Muslims have such a stereotype regarding Jews, was the fact that it's about how the Jewish couple gets intimate or has sex. So the question was that, is it true that a Jewish married couple would not see each other's body while having sex, and would have sex through a sheet which has a hole in it to have their genital sort of, anyway. But for me it was a very weird question, that why would another community be interested in another community's private, very, very intimate and individual aspect of why would religious Jews, or why would religious Muslims want to know how the religious Jews or Orthodox Jews have sex, or Orthodox Jewish couple have sex? What is the point of knowing somebody's intimate, life? So there was this answer by the Jewish participants replied that there is no such a thing, and there is this halakha of not having lights on or something like that, whatever but they said that they probably had seen this garment that the men wear, which have 4-corner tassels to remind them regarding the 613 commandments and 10 commandments, which a 13-year-old boy should wear onwards entire his life, to guard his ways. And they probably saw it hanging on a rope after the laundry has been, so they probably thought that this is and this also shows that how sick the Muslim mindset is, that all they think about is sex. So they saw this the garment hanging and drying on a rope, they think that they probably have sex through this hole. It was absurd and disgusting, and it's no third person's business that what goes around between two people, whether married or not, if they're coming out of their bedroom. What are they doing? How are they doing? What is their equation? None of the business of the third person who's watching this couple coming out of this closed room, unless that third person is married to one of those individuals who are coming out of a space which is intimate and private. And that's, personally, I don't even like the DNA testing, because in a way you are going into that private space and those private choices that our ancestors have made, and investigating the patterns of even if my rabbi would insist that get a DNA test, because maybe you just want to check that if you have a Jewish DNA, even if my conversion depended on this DNA test, I would bluntly, very clearly, very firmly would say that I would not have a DNA test, because I have this respect for my ancestors. Whatever they may be, they were fully entitled to make choices on their bodies and on their lives, and I have no right to go back and investigate. And no, this is just I am making this choice now to convert to Judaism, and I would probably have a married life, a intimate sexual life with a Jewish man. Would I like my ancestors to interfere, or any third person for that matter, even my sister, who is my best friend, and we're like recently, I mean, after my mother passed away in 2016, we become very, very close, and literally she says to me that you're my lost best friend and I am your best. I feel that she's my best friend, but I mean, there are boundaries, you know. I would definitely would not like to share anything in regards to the equation that I would have with my spouse, because you know, that intimate relationship. In fact, every relationship has its own integrity, own boundaries, and own, you know, own limitations, and on the whole thing. And one might, you know, the people who are watching this video and watching me say these words might say, well, you share about your feelings about, you know, that Jewish guy that you met at MGC, your friend and the rabbi and whatever. Well, I have huge amount of respect for all of these guys, and they're amazing. If they're married, if they're dating, those women are the luckiest women on planet Earth. My intention to share these details was not to degrade them or humiliate them or whatever. My intention to share this thing was, one, get my message across, because, you know, at times we don't make peace and we don't realize other person's perspective. So I wanted my message to go across the board. I hold myself responsible in regards to every single person that I wanted to have an intimate and private relationship. I feel that they deserved my attention, my time, and I have learned so much from them, from my rabbi, from the guy that I want to marry and call off the wedding. I learned so much. I have huge respect for him. My rabbi, the guy that I met at MGC, amazing guy. I think if any alumni you would ask, he was part of the organizing team, an amazing, inspiring guy, no doubt about it. But yeah, there are things that I share is to, one, I feel that through this medium, through this channel, I want to add value to people's life in a way that they should also try to learn about their spouse, about their relationship, about their own feelings. They should also have, you know, reconciliation with their own feelings and their connection with Hashem, their connection with life, their connection with and their understanding of other people and their circumstances, their feelings. So in no way I want to say this, that any of the people that I have mentioned, they were amazing people, and that's why I wanted to be with them and I wanted to get closer to them. They meant so much for me, and I will always be a well-wisher for them. But these things somehow, some way would help women like me, because I feel that women do need to have this understanding of their own feelings and have this maturity and sensibility to be able to control their life. We shouldn't be dependent on, say, the masculine energy in regards to our emotional stability and maturity and, healing up and reconciling. That's very, very important. Reconciling with whatever we felt for whomever and still not feel bad about those people. And in fact, I excommunicated my very, very good and inspiring friend from Kandhari and my rabbi, because I just have a huge amount of respect for them, and I don't want to feel an iota of decrease in respect, and so I just don't want to see them, because I don't want to feel, even a little bit annoyed or uncomfortable while seeing them or meeting them. So that's why I just don't want to see them. Don't want to have, because I just want to remember them in their good things that they have added in my life. And that's about it. So yeah, and I was just not very comfortable, about this stereotype that Muslims are. And there was another stereotype which we discussed in our committee, the specific committee that I was part of. There were a few other participants, so there are different committees in the whole conference. So there was this guy from Pakistan, ironically, married with I think 6 or 8 children, I don't exactly remember. So this guy, middle-aged man, I think in his late 40s, was saying that is it true that we have this stereotype that when a Jewish couple is expecting to deliver a baby, or expecting early on even, they practice mathematics daily, and they eat a lot of fish. So I was just laughing out loud on that, and I was saying, oh my god, how can, I mean, why would a Muslim community, and he was a very religious sort of, he seemed like, I mean, I don't know personally, but he kind of seemed like a orthodox religious person. But anyway, why would an orthodox looking religious Muslim person who already has children, so many children, would want to know how and what a Jewish couple does or eats when they are expecting children? I mean, unless he has somebody who is Jewish and he is expecting to marry her, then that's, even then, I mean, and then he was specific, do they eat fish and do they practice mathematics because their child would be smarter? And I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious. So I couldn't answer. I didn't answer. We all laughed it out, and I don't know if anybody kind of cleared him. But for me, I can say this now. Yeah, they do eat fish on Shabbat. It's called gefilte fish, which is, I had gefilte fish in Germany on Shabbos whenever I'm getting married and expecting. 1000% I'm having cravings for gefilte fish every single day because I loved it. I loved it. I ate it like a gluten person. And I was not even embarrassed because they were like, people, okay, she is too hungry, so we just, and there was this participant, her name was Mariam, and she was like, and I was like, are you finishing it or shall I? And I literally finished it. I finished the challah bread and I finished. And she was like, she must be starving, and I had a full breakfast. I loved it. And I loved the synagogue, I loved the service, and I loved everything about it. So, yeah, and I was ministrating. I was not pregnant. Ironically. So, but yeah, it was amazing lunch that we had in a very amazing synagogue in Berlin. I will never forget that. So yeah, I mean, it's because of Shabbat that they have a lot of fish, and because maybe that couple is Ashkenazi, so they eat gefilte fish, and that is because the commandment that you don't pick bones on Shabbos. So yeah, and then mathematics. Well, probably if you would check, majority of the young Jewish couples who are expecting are of middle class, or say upper middle class, but middle class backgrounds and families. It takes a lot of toll to have children, because if you're young and there are halakhic restrictions that you do not use protection, like birth control accessory items. accessories, whatever, the birth control pills, or whatever, condoms and stuff. I actually, I saw my first, we used to have these very weird condom ads, which we didn't understand, and we used to say, what is this all about? That Duraflex or something, something. And I said, what is this, abstract advertisement all about? So I had the privilege of opening up one pack of a condom where at the age of 31 in Kerala, Trivandrum, at the Kandari campus. No, it was not used. I just wanted to see how a condom looks like, and it was a very funny thing. And yeah, it was funny. But yeah, for the major, we joked about it, and there was this amazing brother who played guitar and sang for us in this weird room, which was called the social room, where if participant wanted to get intimate, they would have the space, because it was like gender segregated housing. I lived with my roommate. She was so and there were condoms, and I say, oh my god, we have seen these condoms on television for the first time. I want to see how they look like in reality. So thank you, India. Thank you, Kandari. Thank you. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it was it takes a lot of toll for young people who are orthodox and who keep the commandments, and who do not use birth control things. Then they're having a lot of children, and obviously when you're having a lot of children, you're expecting another child, then you have to do a lot of calculations in regards to managing your finances. So they're not doing mathematical sums just to get their children smarter than the Palestinians and the Arabs and the Muslims, so they can take over the entire world. They're just calculating their finances and how to better manage their the expenses for the a C-section, or your hospitalization, or I don't know what goes. So they're probably calculating that. They're not solving sums. Or maybe if they're math teachers, both the parents are math teachers, they're practicing their lessons for their class. Or maybe they're studying. I mean, it's not like, and there was this social guy who was Umar Jalliawala, and he was a motivational speaker, and he was telling this to a bunch of women, that he was giving lectures to how to be good and better mothers. He was telling them to eat fish and solve math problems with their spouse when they're pregnant, and so that they would have smarter children. And if he knew that Jewish men consider their wives very, very holy when they're pregnant, and they have on average more sex when their wives are expecting, he would have probably advised these young Pakistani women to do that too, which would be really, really awkward. I mean, eat fish, solve math problems, and have sex with your husband when you're to be better mothers. Where are we going? Seriously, where are we going with this whole sex thing? It's just Hashem gives equal amount of brain and everything to every single human being. If you look at a Arab, a Jew, a Christian, a Chinese, a Japanese, there is diversity, definitely, but they have an equal amount of nose, equal amount of ears, equal amount of eyes, and if there is some there is some deficiency or something, it's called abnormality. It's not a healthy child. So Hashem doesn't discriminate. It's not about eating fish, or there have been women who delivered healthy, exceptionally talented, genius children while being malnutrition pregnant women in Holocaust camps. Children with this severe amount of malnutrition and no food have survived the Holocaust concentration camps. Yes, with health issues later in their lives, but I mean, it's not about that. I think prayer helps. Prayer helps because David prayed for Shlomo to be highly intellectual, and Hashem listened to that prayer. So yeah, when there is a saying in there is a tradition, and there is a saying in my family that keep the pregnant woman happy and don't piss her off to get bad omens or bad wishes from a pregnant woman. So keep her healthy and happy so that she is always in a good mood and she is spreading blessings and good wishes rather than bad wishes. Other than that, and that is because a pregnant woman is much more closer to Hashem, because she is going through this creation process of creating another human being, which is just so beautiful. So please don't have these stereotypes and stop interfering in other people's intimate private lives. Focus on your own. Focus on your own spouse. Try to connect with your spouse. And then through your spouse, connect with Hashem. Because only when you are complete with your spouse, your partner, you would have this elevated connection with Hashem. Without your soulmate, you cannot connect with Hashem. Yes, as a single person, there is a connection. But when that's why Judaism says that the greatest of all mitzvahs is the mitzvah of getting married, the shidduchim, the marriage, because it takes you to another level. I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu met Sephora, and only then he had this urge to save his people from Pharaoh. He rescued his people. He got Torah at Mount Sinai after becoming one with Sephora. And then the comment from Hayat, that high sex drive, and I was thinking Ruth, a convert with a less or below average sex drive than a Jewish woman, gets to have Boaz, an old man, and still is able to conceive and bear him a son. And then here is Sephora, again a convert, a Gentile, who is married to the greatest prophet, or the greatest Jewish prophet, who received the Torah at Mount Sinai, who has seen Hashem one-on-one directly. And she's married to this Gentile, this convert woman with a not so very high sex drive, is married to Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe perhaps because these two women, both Ruth and Sephora, had less sex drive that merited that they would be wives of these amazing Jewish souls, Jewish men. Because it's sometimes not about sex, not about having high sex drive, but rather having a very high emunah and having a very high or a deep connection through the soul, that Ruth's soul connected with Boaz and Sephora's soul connected with Moshe Rabbeinu. That even when Maryam protested that if they are not having intimate sexual relations, because Moshe Rabbeinu has have to be in a clean and pious and that state, that he has to be in tahara, in away from truma and clean. Only Sephora can make that sacrifice. I don't see it as sacrifice, but only Sephora can understand that equation that Moshe has with Hashem, and therefore she can still be a loyal wife to Moshe Rabbeinu and take care of his children and be this amazing other half of Moshe Rabbeinu without necessarily being, materially and sexually connected to him, but rather, spiritually connected to him through his soul. So I actually feel honored to have not this very high sex drive because, who knows, I might actually find a rabbi. Actually, can't halakhically. But whatever, whatever Bazarat Hashem, whoever is going to be my groom, my husband to be, I'm pretty sure he would be an amazing Jewish soul that I would just can't wait to meet and see and then end up under a chuppah. So do pray for me. And since it's going to be Shabbos, pray for me on Shabbos. And I will pray for whoever needs a shadduchim should have a shidduch and have all the simcha and blessing and whatever your heart desires in a good way. The good things that your heart desires, which do not harm others and only enrich you and connect you to Hashem. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.